If you are a man over 50, pause for a moment and listen carefully, because what you are about to discover could change your life more than you imagine. This is not just about health, it's about reclaiming your nights, your energy, and that sense of control that you may feel has been slipping away little by little. Have you ever gone to bed tired, looking forward to rest, only to end up getting up once, twice, 3 times, or more to use the bathroom? Or notice that your urine stream is weak, as if your body no longer has the strength it once did? Perhaps that constant feeling that your bladder never fully empties follows you every day, stealing your peace of mind. And while you try to convince yourself that it's just part of getting older, something inside you knows it shouldn't be this way. Let me tell you something important. This is not an inevitable sentence of aging. It's the silent result of certain foods that, without you realizing it, are irritating your prostate and affecting your well-being. For more than a decade, I have listened to hundreds of men with the same concern: to sleep through the night without interruptions, to stop living in constant worry about being near a bathroom, and to regain the confidence and vitality they thought they had lost. Every story touches me deeply because behind these symptoms there is fatigue, frustration, and a sense of loss that many men suffer in silence. I remember a patient named Michael, 65 years old, living in Miami. He came to my clinic because his wife could no longer rest. He was getting up to the bathroom up to 5 times a night, and he confessed to me, with guilt in his eyes, that what hurt him most wasn't his own discomfort, but seeing how he was also ruining the rest of the woman he loved. That emotional burden, feeling less of a man, less of a partner, is something many men experience quietly. What few people know is that behind these symptoms there is a very clear process: chronic inflammation of the prostate. Imagine a small fire inside your body. Every time you consume certain foods, that fire gets more fuel. At first, it doesn't seem serious, but over time this silent fire causes the prostate gland to become inflamed, enlarge, and end up pressing on the urethra like a kink in a hose. And you know what happens when water tries to pass through a tight hose. It loses force, it stops, and it never flows freely. That's why when a patient asks me, "What happened to me?" my answer is not age. My answer is your prostate lives in the environment you create every day with your diet. And the good news is that this environment can change. Today, I want to reveal something that may surprise you. There are 3 very common foods present in almost every kitchen in the United States and Latin America that most people believe are healthy or at least harmless. However, science has shown that certain foods act as silent enemies of the prostate. You have probably been consuming them for decades without realizing the damage they were causing in your body. But don't worry, this is not about taking away everything you enjoy, nor imposing impossible or overly restrictive diets. My goal is to guide you step by step, so you can discover which 3 foods are problematic, why they are harmful, and most importantly, how you can replace them in a simple, practical, and painless way. Believe me, when we stop feeding the inflammation, the body has an incredible capacity to regenerate, to regain the balance you thought was lost. So stay with me, because what I'm going to tell you could transform the way you understand your symptoms, and even more, it could give you back peaceful nights, renewed energy, and confidence in your male health. In a few moments, I will reveal which 3 common foods are silently harming your prostate without you knowing it. Before continuing, I would love to know something to connect with our community. From which city or country are you watching? Write it in the comments. I love getting to know the people who truly care about their health, and it helps me create content that is more useful and relevant for you and your region. Let's get straight to the point. Since we were children, we were taught that milk was a symbol of strength and vitality. Do you remember those advertisements where a glass of milk seemed to have magical powers, capable of giving us strong bones and endless energy? That image was imprinted in the minds of entire generations. But what few people know is that in men over 60, dairy products can become a silent enemy, a slow poison that fuels the fire of prostate inflammation. Science has made this clear. Several studies, including a review published in the journal Prostate Cancer and Prostatic Diseases, have shown that excessive dairy consumption is linked to a higher risk of prostate problems, including cancer. This is not a myth or a coincidence. It is a relationship observed in thousands of men over several years. And why does this happen? The explanation lies in two fundamental mechanisms. First, the excess calcium from milk can disrupt hormonal balance. When calcium levels are too high, vitamin D levels drop, and this vitamin is essential for regulating cell growth and keeping the prostate in harmony. Imagine vitamin D as a traffic light controlling the flow. When it is missing, cars move without control, and the same happens with prostate cells. They start multiplying unchecked. The second mechanism, perhaps the most concerning, involves growth hormones present in cow's milk. One of them, IGF-1, acts like a switch designed to make a calf grow quickly and strong. But when this switch is activated in an adult man, it can also stimulate the growth of prostate cells, even those already prone to becoming problematic. In other words, each glass of milk is like sending the wrong message to your prostate. Grow, keep growing. Some patients ask me, what if I just have a little cheese or yogurt? It's not about occasional indulgence, but daily, repeated consumption over years. This habit, so normalized, is what feeds the internal inflammation day after day. The good news is that you don't need to give up the pleasure of enjoying something white, creamy, and delicious with your breakfast. Today, there are delicious plant-based alternatives, full of flavor and real benefits for your body. Almond milk, oat milk, or coconut milk, as long as they have no added sugar, can become your best allies. You can also enjoy plant-based yogurts or cheeses made from nuts, options that not only reduce inflammation, but also provide fiber, antioxidants, and nutrients that help your body repair damage from within. Let me tell you the story of Robert, a 70-year-old man living in Houston. Robert had been widowed a few years ago, and every morning he followed the same routine: coffee with whole milk and a sweet bread. When he came to my clinic, he complained about getting up 4 times a night and feeling exhausted all day. I explained to him the effect of dairy on the prostate, and although at first he was skeptical, he decided to try a very simple change, replacing his whole milk with unsweetened oat milk. We didn't change anything else. 3 weeks later, he called me excited. He said, "Last night I only got up once. I slept deeply, and I feel so much lighter." That small adjustment transformed his rest, his mood, and his energy. That's why, if you also want to start protecting your prostate today, I invite you to pay close attention to your dairy intake. This is not about depriving yourself, but about choosing wisely. Each glass of plant-based milk that replaces cow's milk is like pouring fresh water over that internal fire that inflames your body. It's a small gesture, but with the power to give you peaceful nights, real rest, and renewed energy. In the United States and across Latin America, meat is not just a food, it is part of our identity, childhood memories, family Sundays, and barbecues with friends. A juicy steak, a well-seasoned sausage, a barbecue that smells like celebration. But I want you to imagine another scene for a moment. Every piece of red or processed meat that enters your body acts like burning coal on a fire inside. That fire is the chronic inflammation of your prostate. And science has explained why it happens. When we consume too much red meat, especially fatty cuts or processed meats like sausages, hot dogs, or deli ham, we introduce 3 dangerous factors. First, saturated fats, which act like thick oil clogging the pipes of your circulatory system and sending pro-inflammatory signals directly to the prostate. Second, heme iron, present in large amounts in red meat, which when accumulated damages cells and creates an oxidative environment, as if little electric sparks were constantly igniting inside the prostate. And third, carcinogenic compounds formed when meat is cooked at high temperatures, such as frying or grilling. These chemicals act like toxic smoke that penetrates every corner of the prostate tissue, irritating it again and again. The result of all this is an inflammatory cocktail that slowly destroys your internal balance. Every large meal loaded with red meat is a silent reminder that your prostate is under pressure, fighting inflammation that gives no rest. That is why many men whose diets are based on this type of protein feel their symptoms intensify over time. More urgency to urinate, more interruptions at night, less energy, less vitality. Often they ask me, so do I have to stop eating meat forever? And my answer is always the same: no. It's not about extreme prohibitions, but about balance, awareness, and caring for your body intelligently. Reducing red meat consumption to just once a week can already make a big difference. And when you do eat it, choose lean cuts, cooked in the oven or steamed, avoiding high temperatures that generate toxic substances. And above all, replace part of that animal protein with options that truly care for your prostate. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, or mackerel are real allies. Their omega-3 fatty acids act as natural firefighters that extinguish inflammation from within. Skinless chicken, cooked lightly, is also a gentle alternative. And don't forget legumes, lentils, chickpeas, beans, which in addition to providing quality protein, offer fiber and minerals that strengthen both the heart and the prostate. Let me tell you the story of Daniel, a 62-year-old man from Atlanta. Daniel had worked his whole life as a butcher. Meat was his pride, his passion, his daily routine. He was convinced that a good steak meant strength. But in recent years, he began waking up to 6 times each night. The fatigue made him irritable, discouraged, and exhausted. When we reviewed his diet, the pattern was clear: sausage, steaks, and processed meats 4 times a week, almost no vegetables or fish. I proposed a simple challenge: reduce red meat to just 1 meal a week and add fish 3 times a week. I also encouraged him to include more salads and steamed vegetables. A month later, Daniel returned to the clinic with a huge smile. He said, "I still get up sometimes, but no longer 6 times, now only twice, and during the day I have much more energy." It wasn't a drastic or impossible change. It was simply learning to balance his plate. So if until now red and processed meat has been the fuel of your internal fire, remember that you have the power to extinguish it gradually. Every time you replace a fatty piece of meat with baked fish or a plate of lentils, you are giving your prostate a break, a breath of relief and well-being. And that choice, repeated day after day, can make the difference between a life limited by symptoms or a full, free, and harmonious life. Who doesn't enjoy a coffee with cookies, freshly baked white bread, or a cold soda on a hot day? These small pleasures seem harmless, a natural part of the routine. But I want you to imagine something else. Every time you consume or find sugars, it is like pouring gasoline on an invisible fire inside your body. That fire is systemic inflammation, and the prostate, so sensitive and vulnerable, is one of the first to suffer its effects. Refined sugars, found in sodas, pastries, cakes, white bread, and processed cereals, cause sharp spikes in blood sugar, unleashing metabolic chaos that directly affects the balance of your body. Each spike in blood sugar is like a wave of fire traveling through your entire body. To try to put it out, the body releases large amounts of insulin, a hormone that, when in excess, triggers inflammatory processes that become increasingly difficult to control. Over time, this roller coaster of glucose and insulin damages blood vessels, affects nerves, and creates a hostile environment inside the prostate. That chronic inflammation caused by refined sugars acts like a silent saboteur. Just like a corroded pipe from the inside, prostate tissue loses its natural balance and begins to grow irregularly. That's why men who frequently consume sweets, sodas, or pastries often experience more intense symptoms: urgency to urinate, weak urine flow, interrupted nights, and a constant feeling of fatigue. I often hear the same question: "I only drink a couple of sodas a day. Does that really matter?" And the answer is a resounding yes. 2 cans of soda contain more than 40 grams of added sugar, enough to trigger several of those waves of fire within a few hours. What seems like a harmless gesture over time accumulates week after week, month after month, quietly fueling prostate inflammation and draining your energy. But there is also hope, and the solution is simpler than you think. It's not about eliminating sweetness from your life, but changing its source. Replace soda with sparkling water with a few drops of lemon or slices of fresh fruit. Swap white bread for whole grain bread and cakes for fresh fruits that naturally sweeten while providing fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins that help calm inflammation. Even a handful of nuts can be an excellent snack, filling and rich in healthy fats. Let me tell you the story of Philip, a 67-year-old man from Austin. For over 30 years, he worked as a bus driver, and his routine included 2 sodas a day to stay awake during long shifts. When he came to my clinic, he told me he was getting up 5 times each night and waking up exhausted. I suggested something simple: replace the sodas with sparkling water with cucumber slices and a touch of lemon. At first, he resisted. He said that soda was his small daily pleasure, his companion during long workdays. But he agreed to try it for a month. 3 weeks later, he called me excited. "Last night, I only got up twice. I sleep better. I feel lighter, and I've lost 3 pounds without realizing it." His family immediately noticed the change, not only in his energy, but also in his mood. Philip then understood that this was not about giving up, but about freeing himself from a habit that kept him trapped in inflammation. Because every time you choose fresh fruit instead of a processed cookie, you are telling your body clearly, "I am taking care of you, I am giving you life." Every glass of water you choose instead of a soda is like pouring a stream of fresh water over that internal fire that silently harms your prostate. It is the small gestures, repeated day after day, that have the power to transform your health more than you imagine. That is why, when you think about refined sugars, do not see them as just a simple treat or craving. See them for what they really are: an enemy disguised as sweetness that, little by little, could be stealing your energy, strength, and well-being. And don't forget something essential: the power to change is in your hands. You might be saying to yourself right now, "Doctor, all this sounds good, but where do I start? I can't change my life overnight." And you are absolutely right. No one can do it all at once. The key is not immediate perfection, but consistency and patience. I always suggest a simple first step to my patients: choose just one habit and focus on changing it for 30 days. Don't try to eliminate dairy, red meat, and sugars all at once. Start with the one that is most present in your diet. If it's milk, try a plant-based alternative. If it's red meat, reduce it and make room for fish or legumes. And if your weakness is sweets or sodas, replace them with fresh fruit or sparkling water with lemon slices. 30 days may seem short, but in that brief time, your body begins to send you signals of recovery: less inflammation, deeper sleep, more energy, and mental clarity. When you start feeling that improvement, you won't need willpower because motivation will come naturally. It's your body showing gratitude. Let me give you an example. Victor, a 70-year-old man from Chicago, decided to take just one step: giving up refined sugar. He switched from coffee with sugar to black coffee and from white bread to whole grain bread. 3 weeks later, he told me with a smile, "I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like my body is breathing differently." His nights, previously interrupted 4 times, went down to just 2, and he woke up every morning feeling more rested. That's why I want to invite you to reflect right now: which of these 3 enemies do you think affects you the most? Write it in the comments. Recognizing it is already the first step toward your recovery. Let's do a quick review. There are 3 foods that seem harmless, but act like gasoline for prostate inflammation: dairy, red and processed meat, and refined sugars. For years, we were led to believe they were pillars of a balanced diet, but today's science and clinical experience show us another truth. These foods feed abnormal prostate growth, weaken urine flow, and disturb your sleep. The good news is that you are not doomed to live like this. Every time you choose oat milk instead of whole milk, baked fish instead of a large steak, or water with lemon instead of soda, you are putting out that internal fire and restoring calm and balance to your body. It is the small actions, repeated with care and consistency, that create great changes. It is not about achieving perfection or transforming everything overnight, but about sending your body a clear and continuous message: "I am taking care of you." Because even after 60, your health can improve, your energy can renew, and your well-being can flourish. Your prostate, your vitality, and your quality of life depend largely on the decisions you make each day at the plate. I want to remind you of something very important. This message has an educational purpose and does not replace professional medical care. If you notice warning signs such as blood in your urine, pain in the pelvic area, fever, chills, or unexplained weight loss, do not ignore them. These are urgent signals from your body that require immediate medical evaluation. Your health is too valuable to leave in the hands of time or doubt. If what you've heard today has been helpful, I invite you to take the first step right now. Write the number 1 in the comments if you commit to trying at least one change in your diet over the next 30 days. That small gesture will not only mark a beginning for you, but will inspire other men who, like you, are looking to regain their well-being. Subscribe to the channel to continue learning about men's health and share this video with your father, your brother, or that friend over 60 who needs to hear this. Sometimes, such a simple action can change a life. And don't miss the next video, where I will share the 5 foods that do protect your prostate and strengthen your natural vitality. Remember, your body still has the ability to heal, and the best time to start is now.